Today, we're going to talk about how to build a line following robot. So, before we begin building the robot and coding it and having it work, I first wanted to talk about the materials that you'll be needing to build a line following robot. So, the first material that you'll need is basically Ethernet cables that will connect the motor to the robot. Over here in the bottom, those are two tires. Here are some Lego pieces right here. You're probably very familiar with these. On the far left are two motors over here where you see my mouse. And up top are various Lego pieces and axles that you'll need to build the robot. Overall, these are all the materials that you'll need. And next up, we'll talk about a safety protocol that you'll need to follow before building the robot.
Always be careful when working with robots and using screwdrivers. Do not fool around with your tools or screws or any other materials. Do not try and work on your robot alone or without adult supervision. Thank you.
Okay, let's get building. So first thing, you're going to take this black bar and put these two red connectors at the bottom. So right now we are building the enclosure for the color sensor. This is the color sensor. And this is going to go on the bottom of our robot. Also take the other red piece and do the same thing on the other side. So you should be at this step. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece right here, which is the H frame, and we're just going to put it right on top. Okay, and the last step for our color sensor enclosure is to actually put the color sensor on. So we're going to take the sensor and put it right on the side. Like that. And then we're going to take our cable and attach it to the sensor. Okay, so let's put this assembly aside. And we're going to build the actual robot now. So take your two large motors and grab the other two black beams. So we're just going to attach this beam to both motors. Same thing on the bottom. Okay, so you should be at this step. Next thing we're going to do is take these two red beams. So I'm going to take one of them and attach it to the side of the motor. Now, same thing on the other side. So you should have something like this. At this step, we can now take one of our axles and feed them through one of the motors. Like that, and we can do the same to the other side. Okay, at this point, we can take a bushing. This is a red bushing. Put it on one side. Same thing to the other side. Lastly, we need the actual wheels. So take one of our wheels. Put it on one side. And take the other wheel and put it on the other side. There we go. So it's starting to look more like a robot now. Next thing we have to do is, so the next thing we have to do at this point is actually attach our EV3, which is the brain of the robot. So in order to do this, we're just going to take the EV3 like this and just line it up. Like this. Whoops, looks like one of the axles came undone. Okay, much better. So you should have the letters facing you. There we go. You see how it just drops right in there? So at this point, we need to take one of our black axles and feed it through this red hole right here. And same thing on the other side. So now that secures our EV3 in place. So our EV3 is in place. Next thing we need to do is actually attach the color sensor assembly. So what we're going to do is take this frame and attach it so the holes line up. Okay, and just like that, our robot is complete. So last thing we can do is make sure that all of our sensors and motors are connected to the correct ports. So take the color sensor, attach it to port number 1. And take the left motor and attach it to port C. So port C is right over here. Actually, this should go to port D, not port C. Now take the other motor and attach it to port C. Okay, so we have all of our cables connected to the correct ports, including the color sensor, and our robot is ready to drive. So the next step from here is to program the robot, and that will be in the next segment.
So this is the program that allows the robot to follow the line. So let's walk through it step by step. Firstly, so when the program starts, we're going to set the movement to motors C and motor D, which is the left and the right side of the robot. And now these next 2 lines of code just reset whatever motor value was currently in the robot, so it ensures that there's no confusion later on. And now this is called an infinite loop, or a forever loop. So whatever goes inside of this loop will always run no matter what. So inside this infinite loop, we have a conditional statement, we have an if and else statement. So if the color sensor in port 1 detects the light intensity that is greater than 40%, which means if it sees the white line, then it's going to move the right motor at 20% speed. Otherwise, if it sees that the line is black, or it deviates from the white line to the black floor, it's going to move the left motor backwards at 20% speed. So this left and right motion will always make sure that the robot's going forward, but it's also following the white line. So if it sees the white line, it's going to move away from the white line, and if it sees the floor, it's going to move away from the floor. So it's always going to go between the floor and the line, which is going to make the robot drive straight on the line.
So that is our tutorial on how to make a LEGO Mindstorms EV3 line following robot. To recap, we showed you the materials that you will need. We showed you how to build the robot using the materials, how to write the final code for the robot, and the robot in action. We hope that you enjoyed building it and learning more about robotics. Thank you for watching.